Before my marriage, I loved a man. His name was Hamza. I was young. I thought love could fix everything, but it could not. We were not careful, and I became pregnant. That night, I sat alone in my room. I was too scared to even cry. I did not tell my parents. I did not tell my friends. I did not tell Alex either. By that time, Alex had changed. He stopped answering my calls. One day, he told me he was moving to another city for work. He never asked about me again. He never knew about the baby. I never told him. At that time, my parents had already fixed my marriage. The man's name was David. He was simple and kind. He said, "Good morning," to everyone. My parents liked him very much. I could not say no to this marriage. I could not tell them the truth. I was pregnant with another man's child. I was afraid of shame. So, I said nothing. I got married. In the first 2 weeks of my marriage, I could not sleep well. I knew the truth would soon show, so I made a plan. I told David I was pregnant. He was shocked, but then he smiled. It was the happiest smile I had ever seen. He held my hands and said, "This is the best news of my life." I smiled too, but inside, I felt very guilty. I let him think the baby was his. I did not tell him the truth. 9 months later, our son was born. We named him Daniel. David held him first. He had tears in his eyes. He said, "He looks just like me." I said nothing. Daniel did not look like David. He looked like Alex, but no one noticed. Maybe no one wanted to notice. Everyone was too happy. David was an amazing father. He woke up at night when Daniel cried. He fed him. He changed his clothes. He took him to the doctor for every small fever. When Daniel learned to walk, David walked behind him with open arms. When Daniel started school, David drove him every day, even when he was tired. He taught him how to ride a bike. He taught him how to pray. He taught him how to be a good person. David never once thought Daniel was not his own child. To him, Daniel was fully his son. Years passed like this. Life was calm and happy. I started to think my secret was safe forever. I was wrong. When Daniel turned 7, Alex came back into our lives. It was a normal afternoon. I was at the market, buying vegetables. I saw a man standing near a shop. My whole body froze. He looked older, but I knew it was him. He saw me, too. He walked toward me. "I heard you got married," he said. "I heard you have a son." I could not say a word. I just stood there. "How old is he?" he asked. I lied about his age. I wanted to protect myself. But Alex was not foolish. People from our old area had already talked about it. He had already done the math in his head. He looked at me and said, "He is mine. Isn't he?" I broke down right there, in the market, in front of strangers. I told him everything. I told him how scared I was. I told him how quickly I got married. I told him about the lie I had lived for 7 years. His face changed slowly. First, confusion, then shock, then deep pain. He did not shout. He did not break anything. He just sat there quietly, looking at the floor. I begged him not to do this. I told him Daniel already had a real father. I told him David had given him everything a child needs. I told him David did not deserve this pain. But Alex shook his head. He said he had rights too. He said blood does not disappear just because it is not convenient. I do not remember the walk home that day. I just remember shaking. I could not eat. I could not sleep that whole night. I knew I had to tell David myself before Alex told him first. The next morning, after Daniel left for school, I sat with David. I told him everything. I told him about Alex. I told him about the pregnancy before our wedding. I told him about the lie I had lived for 7 years. His face changed slowly. First, confusion, then shock, then deep pain. He did not shout. He did not break anything. He just sat there quietly, looking at the floor. Finally, he spoke. 7 years, he said softly. 7 years I loved a child, thinking he was mine. And you knew, this whole time, that he was not. I had no answer. Nothing I could say would make the pain smaller. Alex did not wait long. In a few weeks, he hired a lawyer. He filed a case in court. He wanted the right to see his son. The court asked for a DNA test. The test proved what we already knew. Alex was Daniel's real father, by blood. Our lawyer told us clearly, by blood, this man is the father. The law allows him to ask for visits, sometimes even custody. I sat outside the courtroom with my head in my hands. I thought my family was going to break apart. David sat far away from me. He did not even look at me. Daniel was only 7 years old. He did not understand any of this. He kept asking, why is everyone sad? Who is that uncle staring at me? The judge wanted to talk to Daniel alone, gently, so he would not be scared. She asked him simple questions. Who takes you to school? Who helps with your homework? Who do you run to when you have a bad dream? Every time, Daniel gave the same answer, Dad. He meant David. He said, Dad does everything for me. I do not even know that other uncle. The judge listened carefully. Then she turned to Alex and asked one question. Do you want to take this boy away from the only father he has ever known? Or do you want him to be happy? Alex stayed quiet for a long time. I watched his face change. For the first time, I saw something soft in his eyes. He looked at Daniel, standing close to David, holding his hand tightly. He was scared of this stranger who said he was his father. Then Alex finally spoke. I do not want to break this child's world. I made my choice 7 years ago when I left. I cannot come back now and act like I have the same right as the man who actually stayed. He turned to David and said, You are his father, not by blood, but by everything that really matters. I ask for only one small thing. Let me know him a little, just as someone from his mother's past. Nothing more. I will not confuse him. I will not take your place. David did not answer right away. He looked down at Daniel, who was still holding his hand and looking up at him with full trust. Then he looked at me. For the first time in weeks, I saw something soften in his eyes. Outside the court, David finally spoke to me. I am angry. I am hurt. I do not know if I can fully forgive you yet. But I know one thing for sure. That boy loves me as his father, and I love him as my son. Nothing before this changes that. We will figure out the rest, slowly, together. That evening, we walked home as a family. Daniel ran ahead of us, laughing about something silly that happened at the courthouse. He did not know how close his world had come to breaking. David held my hand that night. It was not the same as before, not yet, but it felt like a promise that we would try, a promise that we would heal. Alex kept his word. He never tried to take Daniel away. Sometimes he visited for a short while. He brought a small gift. He sat quietly and watched Daniel play. Daniel grew up knowing him only as a friendly uncle, nothing more. He never called him father. That word, in Daniel's heart, belonged to only one man. Years have passed since then. David and I are still together. It was not easy. There were hard nights. There were quiet arguments. There were many tears. But we never gave up. Slowly, we rebuilt what my silence had broken. David taught me something I will never forget. Real love knows how to forgive, even when it takes years. Daniel is a teenager now. He is tall and kind. He still calls David Dad, with the same love he had as a little boy. He knows the whole truth today. He knows about Alex. One day, he said something I will never forget. A father is not the man who gives you blood. A father is the man who gives you his whole life. I made many mistakes in my past, but I learned something important. Real love is not built by blood. It is built by choice. In the end, my family found its way back to happiness. Not because the past disappeared, but because every day we chose each other again.